Hello and welcome to How to Fail Successfully, a podcast that's a journey of how we can each step into our own unique creative power and natural self-expression by failing successfully. My name's Amy, and this podcast brings you thought-provoking conversations, people's unique stories, and all the human emotions that come from the most valuable lessons we learn during our life's challenges and setbacks. Trusting our creative energy is just the beginning of developing a world full of aliveness, presence, and freedom, whilst creating the lives we really want. So let's get into the episode. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of How to Fail Successfully. My name is Amy, and I'm delighted, and it's my honor to bring you this information and inspiration and conversations, because this is ultimately the vision that for the podcast is conversations amongst others, because I feel like this is when we can really inspire each other, and where the real juice comes from, where creativity can be inspired from within through the art of communication. So in this first episode, I'll just explain a little bit who I am, and then just explain of why How to Fail Successfully. For those of you that may or may not know, firstly, my name is Amy, but I previously did have my own previous podcast, which I failed at. I failed to keep consistent at, which was a massive learning for me, and has actually resulted in so much growth and something that's even more true. And I literally feel called to bring you right now is this podcast that I'm delivering right now to you. So I'm all up for failing. I'm all for failing, because as we know, failing is where the growth happens and the learning happens, and that is what I love. You know, my background, my professional background anyway, is in teaching. I've been teaching for nearly 8 years now. I'm a trained primary school teacher. I trained in London. I'm from England. You can probably tell from my accent. I was actually, my PGCE was actually inspired to go into education by a very young 3-year-old little boy who I was his teaching assistant for 1 year previous to my PhD, and he was the one that inspired me to go into education actually, and particularly work with children with learning difficulties. Now, I don't really like that term now. I like to think of like learning differences, or that's a whole nother conversation. But I trained as a teacher at the University of East London in Stratford back in 2013, and I spent 2 years in London. I went to one of my second year was in a special needs school, which was absolutely incredible experience, and got so much joy and inspiration from seeing these children that I worked with every day overcome these challenges every single day, but with smiles and joy on their faces. It's just a delight to see, as well as a mental, emotional, and physical challenge for the teachers as well. But that really, really inspired me, that position. After spending 2 years in London, I decided to fulfill a dream of mine and go and teach abroad. Now, bless my parents, they've infected me, my brother, my sister, and I with the travel bug. We lived in Hong Kong for 3 years as children. So that was my dream when I started to be a teacher, was to teach abroad. So that's what I did. So I moved to Thailand. I actually took a break from regular British curriculum and got a TEFL certificate, did that for a couple of months in Thailand and Vietnam, and then I moved back to Thailand from Vietnam and worked in international school there for 2 years, and then from there I moved to Hong Kong and worked at a British international school, but there I was specifically a primary special needs teacher, which was a massive challenge. And once again, I made many mistakes there, lots of growth, lots of learning, and lots of support as well. Lots of lessons, which I will talk about more in future episodes. And then from there, I'm now currently in Barcelona in Spain, and I moved to Barcelona to work in a Montessori school because I was very inspired by the creativity and the process of Montessori and how it harnesses children's creativity, which I will talk about more later. And absolutely inspired by this methodology and philosophy, and I still am. And so I was working in a school for 8 months until I decided to leave. And that is where it really gets interesting. So that is my professional journey. I will share more of my personal journey in episodes, and I feel like I want to let it flow out of me through conversations with others rather than me just talking into this microphone. So stay tuned for the unveiling of the rest of my story, especially since it was April 2021 I chose to leave. In this time, particularly in the past 9 months, has been a massive growth and learning for me. Hence why I'm sitting here delivering this podcast to you, how to fail successfully. Now you might think that is contradictory, right? Failure, success, what is that? Because the English dictionary defines failure as the act of something or someone not succeeding. The act of something or someone not succeeding. So this ignites the question, what do you define as success then? Right? For me, success equals growth. Success equals learning. Growth and learning equals progress. And as humans, we're all obsessed with progress, right? Progress equals happiness. And we know life throws curveballs, every single day, every single month, every single moment. 2020, massive curveball, right? We know that progress is not going to be linear. It's going to be super messy. It's going to be up and down. But at the end of the day, human beings, we are born to grow and evolve, right? We are. That is just what we're here to do, right? So in that, my message and my calling of what I want to reveal within all of us. I'm not bringing you any new information here, just to let you know this. Like, what I'm going to say has been said over and over again, but I'm just bringing it from my own unique perspective. What I would like to bring out from each and every one of us is our creativity, right? Because we all have it within us. I'm not going to make you creative. I'm not here to inspire creativity. I'm here to guide you to get out of your own way so you can reveal your creativity from within, right? And this, my friend, this is a choice. It all comes back to a choice, right? We can choose to be curious. We can choose to delve deep and ask ourselves, what can we learn from this? We need to ask ourselves more empowering questions, right? What can we learn? What can we learn from this? What challenge am I being called to step up especially when we fail, right? I'm talking about failure here. Instead of making it mean something, instead of attaching our own self-worth to this failure and making it mean something about us, we can ask ourselves these more empowering questions. We can ask ourselves, what challenge am I being called to step up to here? How will this make me stronger? How can I learn from this? And most importantly, how can this experience potentially lead me to guide others through a similar experience in the future? Because we all want to learn from each other, right? On the other side of that failure, on the other side of that dark, thick, an emotional hurricane you're in right now, is your purpose, is your highest self, your highest being, waiting to be of service to others. But to get through this, what I'm talking about, this, and to get to this higher self, well, it's quite frankly a shitstorm, right? But we can choose curiosity in the midst of our struggles. But when we are choosing, we are very afraid, right? We can choose curiosity in the midst of our struggles, but at the same time, when we choose curiosity in the midst of our struggles, we are also choosing vulnerability, because when we choose vulnerability, it requires us to surrender to uncertainty. Surrender to uncertainty. Now, this is where we all fall into the fear. We go back to our planets of fear, most of us, the planet of fear is very busy right now. I've been on that planet. It's very congested, the planet of fear, because we all have a lot of knowledge, right? This isn't probably the first podcast like this you've listened to. We all have a lot of knowledge. We know this stuff. However, we're still very afraid. Lots of us, why are we afraid? We are afraid to surrender to the uncertainty of the path ahead, facing doubt in our own ability to handle it. Can you handle it? Are you sure? Like admitting to our own pain, our vulnerabilities, and saying, I'm going to, as Brené Brown said, I'm going to go into the arena anyway. We were born to be curious. Curiosity has kept us alive. But let's remember, right? Like, that saying, curiosity killed the cat? Curiosity can also lead to danger. Unfortunately, in our society, we have turned to the latter. We've made this danger massive, but it's not true. We're bombarded every day with these messages from news, media, everything that we're listening, reading, by this constant fear. And to be honest, if we're sick of being afraid, isn't everyone sick of being afraid? Right? Curiosity has kept us alive. But we have, in our society, made the fear bigger than the other side. Right? I believe this is one of the biggest mistakes of our current society, right? Because why would you choose to go into the arena if you've got, this is the thing, right? Why would you choose to go into this path of uncertainty if you've got a nice, comfortable, cushioned seat outside watching in this arena, right? If you're watching in this arena and you're watching in your nice, comfortable lounge, why? Well, this is what it comes down to, is our why, right? Why do you get out of bed every day? Why do you do what you do every day? Why are you being right now? Why? It all comes down to that. So your why has to be strong enough to step into that arena with an open heart, and an open heart full of courage and compassion to face our own fears and insecurities and self-doubt, right? Because this is the thing. When we rumble with curiosity in the midst of our failures, we're not only learning and growing ourselves, but we're also paving the way of how to fail successfully to our next generation. I admire and am completely inspired by the work of Sir Ken Robinson. And the legacy that he left. I mean, his TED Talk is one of the most viewed TED Talks online. It's 15 years old and it's still highly relevant today. It's so relevant. And because our next generation, everyone has our own connotations to education, right? But our next generation need to see us fail as adults, as parents, as leaders, as in work, in life, every day. They need to see us fail. They need to see us in the arena. They need us to not subconsciously shame, fix, or project our own self-doubts onto them. That's the crux of it. That's really it. Because if you're honest, if you're really emotionally honest with yourself and emotionally responsible, you will realize, and emotionally aware, because that's the thing, that's the problem. Lots of us may not be aware of what we are doing, but we are continually shaming, fixing, or projecting our own self-doubts onto others. So our next generation need to see us to be with them in their own vulnerability. We need to sit with them and say, instead of trying to fix their problems, we need to sit with them and say, me too, I get it, I've been there, right? So my why, what's my why? Like it always has been, really, but I've just, myself has been struggled to express it. Because this is my journey, this is the journey of, I say myself, but it's not really me, it's just the energy that's bringing you this podcast right now. It's to inspire creativity from within, right? To learn how to self-express. My why is to learn how can I use my own creative energy to fully self-express, to then guide others in the same process. Because honestly, I truly believe that a world where we are authentically expressing ourselves in our own true nature and allowing everything to be as it is in the present moment is a world that I want to live in. But the thing is, it's not about me or I, it's the energy, right? It's the energy. And what this comes down to is trust and surrender. It comes down to trusting ourselves, trusting your journey, trusting our journey, and trusting the universal energy, right? We can trust ourselves, we can be with ourselves in all our vulnerability, in all our failures, and from there, guide and be of service from others. So, this podcast, what's the vision for this podcast? Well, I would love, if you're listening to this, message me, send me a message, because I would love to chat to you on this podcast to talk about your failures, my failures, our failures. Have a conversation, have a dynamic, emotionally responsible conversation about it. And what you chose to do, what you chose to learn from your failures. This is what I want to talk about. The podcast is going to be a mixture of conversations between people like you and me about failures and about what we've learned from the failures, to hope to inspire the creativity from within, and to help you know that you have everything inside of you. You do, you really do. It's just a matter of unveiling veil after veil after veil after veil. So it'll be a mix of conversations and some very short, I will do my best, my very, very best, I promise, to have short solo episodes by myself. Aim to less than 20 minutes. Let's see, that's my goal. So I invite you to feel the depth of emotion in your failures when you fail, because let's be honest, we all fail. There's no getting around it. When we fail, feel the emotion that arises. Be honest with that emotion, because it's very easy to ignore that emotion and shove it down. Or if you're on the spiritual path, meditate your way through it, right? Like, I'm not going to feel this emotion. It's a negative vibration emotion. No, none of that. I don't like this. Feel the emotion. Feel the emotion in your failures. Choose curiosity and step forward, right? Choose curiosity, because it's a choice, and that's where your power lies, knowing that you always have a choice no matter what. Choose curiosity and step forward one foot at a time with love and compassion in your heart, and trust, breathe and believe in who you are, because the world needs you and our next generation needs you as you are right now. thank you so much for listening. I can't wait for you to delve into this episode and learn and grow with me. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening, learning and growing with us. Please share your thoughts and learnings about this podcast specifically on social media, and speak to you soon.